Welcome back to some professional StarCraft 2. From the AlphaX Pro Series, two former world champions, both at some point in StarCraft 2 history considered the best in the world. I'll let you argue in the comments about which is better now. Before we take a look at first in the bottom left, possibly the best micro Terran in the history of StarCraft, idolized by many and replicated by incredibly few. It is Shopify's Korean Terran player, of course, ByuN. Embodying the micro Terran, so much so every unit he prefers to build starts with them. We'll have to see if it is enough to deal with the man in the top right. One of the most accurate slips I have made, and probably more than he will. Of course, I bring you from NC Sports in Finland. It's the finisher, the first non-Korean player to win a world championship, and currently probably the best Zerg and possibly the best player in the world, still maintaining that dominance. Not through anything in particular. One of the most either annoying, impressive, inspiring, frustrating adjectives things about Serral is that you can't really say that's what he does well, because he does everything well. I think just a general game sense is required to play Zerg at the highest level, because Zerg, even in Legacy of the Void, is a bit more reactive. Ideally, you're building drones right up until that last possible second before you need units. Of course, the way the economies work in Legacy of the Void compared to the expansions before, it means Zerg has a few more options in the mid-game, and are less drone, and then mass roaches, but many of the same principles still apply. Whereas Terran, for the most part, remains unchanged. And ByuN, the man who got this unit nerfed not once, but twice, and I think is the only person you can ever directly credit with a unit nerf. His Reaper usage, I assume inspiring a young Clem, the kid himself, who now enjoys his Reapers. But the Reaper used to have the grenade ability, used to do double damage on half the cooldown. But ByuN put a stop to that. Now he has to use conventional units like Marines, Marauders, and Medevacs. We'll see how he uses them in this one. Speaking of conventional units... No, this isn't a conventional unit. I was trying to find a segue here. Anyways, it's a Roach Warren at 3 minutes. A Zergling speed starts. It's a fake! Or it might not be a fake. Oh, it is a fake. Alright, I should have stuck with it. I knew it was a fake. He was showing the Zergling speed to the Reaper. Yeah, of course the Zergling speed before 330. You don't want to stick around and find out. So, essentially, Serral is showing ByuN everything he needs to think this is a normal macro build. Okay, I'm spreading my creep. I'm getting Zergling speed. I even have a third. Nothing to worry about. Go ahead. Not just a natural, but a third command center. Get a Viking. Get that Viking. Treat yourself. Don't worry. Nothing's coming. Well. Let's go to the ByuN action camp. Let's see at what moment he finds out that is no longer true. Because right now he's on 3 commands, so he's building a Liberator, which is okay against roaches, but if there are any Ravagers, or just in general, it's not the greatest option. Obviously, a Banshee, a Bunker 3 would be the ideal choice. In fact, oh my god, he's going to be completely blindsided. He pulled the Hellions back. I'm not actually sure why he pulled them all the way back here. Maybe suspicious of a Ling run by. But he has no idea. He's sending him out again. Oh. He saw it on the mini. Yeah, well, so now this is a little bit awkward. The SCVs evacuate the natural. Abandon ship. There's no way we can hold. The high ground is where we must retreat to.
Hello there.
A Liberator, actually surprisingly effective, because no Ravagers invest in. Serral, moderation in all things. Raynor might have had 3 Ravagers and a few dozen Lings behind this. But Rogue might have just built more Roaches, but Serral gonna build 1 Ravager. He's gonna deny the natural. Just 1. Okay, gonna build the others. They come out with full HP, important to note. So he's choosing the low HP Roaches. Is there any vision? No, and a tank. Honestly, I feel like Serral kind of missed his window to do more damage up the ramp here. Now ByuN is taking advantage of it, doing a lot of damage. Yes, a lot of SCVs were lost. Yes, he denied mining at this base. Yes, he forced all the units back, but at the end of the day, building 7 Roaches is not particularly cheap. Not the actual cost of the Roaches, but the interruption of the growth of your economy, your tech. You know, for other players, I guess, because Serral's at 65 drones, he's got a... Oh my god. It's time for Mutas! Yes, swerving into the Lingbane. Roaches are not a later game unit. They're a early, maybe a mid-game option, but they just don't stack up, especially against a multitasking-oriented Terran. Liberator finds a pretty nasty angle with which to knock out some drones. Queens will come in from the side. Muta's definitely a better option against Liberator sieged up as well, though I don't think we're going to see too many more for a while. Zerglings don't even have speed yet. ByuN knows at this point how committed that Roach all-in was. Of course, the Roaches probably gave it away as well. Zergling speed, Baneling speed. Rarely this late, but of course there were... oh my. So ByuN has sieged up the Liberator to make sure the lava monsters never escape from the prison of Mount Doom or something like that. I think I'm conflating things, but... one freedom ring... Whoa, wow. What's going on with the... It's kind of crazy. Anyways, this is so that it doesn't accidentally start chasing an Overlord or get poked by a Queen and go into things. This is just to keep it standing still. So even if he does happen to tap that select all army key, the Liberator will be hanging out. So it is Mutas. Something to point out here. No Evo Chambers. Straight into Multilisks. Not focusing so much on the upgrades. He got exactly 66 drones. He's adding a few more now. Adding the Evos, but the idea was full 3-base saturation. 66 drones. 22 apiece. 16 on minerals. 6 on gas. So Serral min-maxing these 3 bases to get as many units as possible with which to drive back the first 2 medevacs. Yes, ByuN has yet to spot, though there's no Baneling speed, which means those Banelings are more scared of the Marines than the Marines are of the Banelings. But the Mutas slipped by me and ByuN. I did not notice, and neither did ByuN, scrambling back to the main. Not a single turret in sight. Who expected these out of nowhere as Multilisks are best used? 14 more SCVs slaughtered as Serral continues to take a dramatic economic toll. ByuN, as so often we see him forced onto the back foot. He's going to have the upgrades, but Serral is waiting at the door. Either next time ByuN steps outside, he's going to have a bad time, or maybe Serral will end up heading in. The armory I saw completed. Honestly, despite losing all these SCVs. 21. ByuN only 10 SCVs down. The power of 3 orbitals. The Liberator found and killed. Forgotten. Wow, Serral, 88 drones on the dot. 4-base saturation, though I think he's mounting out of his main. Yeah, he started to add. This is about the best you could ever dream of as Zerg. The one thing he doesn't have are those upgrades. But getting straight to 4-base, he's got a 5th on the way. I wouldn't be surprised to see a macro hatch sometime soon for more larva, though he has been uninterrupted on his injects. It's just the upgrades now. Serral is not going to want to let ByuN max out. Because if ByuN maxes out, he can still fight. He's going to have better upgrades. He's going to have a solid army composition. So Serral right now with a flock, a murder of Mutas. 17. I love that 15 to 20 number. It's enough to one-shot, almost one-shot turrets, one-shot medevacs, and Widowmines, but not so many your supply is entirely dependent on it. Yes, he does have an overseer. He probably spotted those Widowmines at the 3rd and decides to head on out. He's maxed out. 2-2 started. I believe Hive is done. No! I'm sorry. Infestation Pit is done, and Hive has begun. And Hive has begun. Alright, sorry, one more time. And Hive has begun. I'm sorry, a little bit of lag. And with that, Serral now has essentially everything he could be getting. 89 drones, plus 2 upgrades across the board. ByuN is looking to take a 4th, and this should be the focal point, the anvil upon which Serral's hammer smashes. But we'll have to see if the Thors are strong enough to stop it. 1 Thor can zone out the mutas, 2 can potentially kill him. Whittle mines scattered in. Serral not pulling the trigger on an attack. It looks like he's content to go to Hive. You see, I'm impatient. I thought he'd just go, but Serral, you give him half the map and all of the drones, and he says, why would I risk it if I could butter my biscuit in other ways? +2/+2 is finishing for ByuN. The Banelings rolling in from the left flank, easily taking out a handful of Marines. But enough units. That was a scouting party. He saw there were so many units on the left, he's probably more vulnerable on the right. The Banelings roll past. The planetary is done. He was just waiting for the harvest to ripen. Serral was waiting for ByuN to be established with a planetary. He was waiting for him not to be able to run away. No escape and minimal survivors. Serral's first wave crushes the base. ByuN rebuilds it immediately, and the counterattack. The most important part now. ByuN knows he has the upgrade advantage. I'm sure he's chapped the lings, but he doesn't know for how long. The Hive is done. Adrenal glands. Ultralisk cavern. We'll have to see if any other tech. A few Whittle mines. Banelings rolling through and maximizing their effectiveness. Meanwhile, more Banelings looking at the front through the most chokiest of choke points. Oh, beautiful micro from ByuN. I hate to be redundant, but the Banelings struggling to roll around up and down and can't actually find the main pack of the Marines. Just like Jimmy can't find the damn production. How many times do we have to do this? Thank you. Burrowed Zergling scouts. I like that choice. Something rare. Well, not so much scouts as blocking the base, but both work. Chitinous plating on the way. Adrenal glands. Still, though, ByuN holding strong. He lost some supply here. He's dipped down to 160, whereas Serral is maintaining an even 200. 2 more ultras, 7 more drones in production, which is pushing it if he's not going to add some static defense. As his army supply will be so small, he's going to struggle to deal with ByuN's nice worker count. We have the rest of the upgrades filling out the +3. And from here, ByuN is maxed out again. It felt like I blinked for a few seconds. I don't know if you call that a blink, but... And then suddenly ByuN has more supply as Serral adding on some hatcheries, using some drones for other things, essentially taking the rest of his half the map. He's still got 12 mutas to snipe off whatever he gets a hold of. But here comes ByuN, looking across the map. Chitinous plating is seconds from completion. Will complete mid-fight. Backing off. Everything's a beautiful concave from ByuN again. He's really working these platforms in the center of the map. I'm loving his usage of this area. He has the high ground, and he knows its advantages. Ultralisk speed to close the distance quicker. +3 melee and carapace for Serral. The armor upgrade's incredibly important against Marines, helpful against Marauders, not much against Thors. The Whittle mines warding off any small incursions. Muta's still just looking for any counterattacks. ByuN still trying to force the issue. He's still setting on Marines and Marauders and mines and medevacs. A Thor or two was scattered in, but he's dropped those out of the composition now that the mutas are no longer a major threat. In fact, the mutas can't even engage a single drop of Marines at this stage. The planetary, but the Widow Mine's looking for an opportunity on the Banelings. I don't believe building armor is completed. The SCV is being chased down and just enough damage kills the planetary, but there's not one, not two, but three more CCs where that came from. We see a Hydralisk Den. Oh no, Serral. That is the Hydralisk Den of admission. The Hydralisk Den of defeat. What does that mean? Serral doesn't think he needs Hydras. He's tried the Ultras. He's tried the Mutas. He needs Lurkers. He's not going to be able to break this army. I lied. Wait, he's getting the Hydra upgrades, but the Lurker Den. 2 Lurker Dens! Why don't I trust myself? I had the right call and then I hung up on it. It was for Lurkers. Banelings crashing in, but an ultralisk just popped like an incredibly expensive and well-armored balloon. Yeah, eating the Widowmine hits. They're just not able to close the distance. Not against ByuN. It's just not going to happen. He needs something with a little... that cuts a little deeper into the composition, if you would. Something that slices through the front line all the way to the back. It eviscerates his opponent. That's not going to be the Ultralisks. It's the Lurkers. I do like how it kind of feels like Serral has... He's tried everything. The buffet table of Zerg choices. But he's landed on the Lurkers because... with the strength of the Marine Marauder and the positioning in the center of the map with ByuN having the high ground, he needs that range. Marauder drop? Honestly, at this point, Marauder is probably the least useful part of the composition. Yes, sure, they're good against Ultras, but they don't have the same level of DPS in general as Marines. Ultra's being chased down, but a new challenger approaches. Widowmine, Serral with the counterattack. 9 drones have gone down. Meanwhile, fighting in the center of the map. ByuN on the chase. Lurker, Ultralisk, Baneling. An incredibly front-loaded army here. Get up close and just rip through the Terran, because if they're allowed to spread and stim, it gets harder and harder. But here comes Serral, straight up the gut, burrows the Lurkers. Both upgrades done with those double Lurker Dens. Marauders on the run, Banelings on the chase. A single Liberator left, and all the surviving Mutalisks. Well, Brendan, no! Why were you here? We told you to stay at the back. Why do generals lead from the front? That seems like a bad move for the long-term survivability of your army. Well, Widowmines take a chunk out of the Mutas. ByuN manages to take a base in trade. Ghosts. The choice. The common counter. Ghosts able to snipe the Lurkers from afar. But if they take any damage, their snipe interrupted, and the Ghosts, of course, themselves can be killed. Oh, not in ByuN's hands particularly easily. The Ghosts line up another round of snipes, trying to dodge as many Lurker hits as possible. The Ultralisks evaporate. Is that the last of them? Now extinct. That was more like a reunion tour for Ultras than an actual effective unit composition, unfortunately. And like many reunion tours, a little sad. ByuN still with his Bio Ball, adding Magos in, but not quite enough of them to threaten the Lurker count quite yet. A 1-to-1 ratio is pretty good, and right now it's 14 Lurkers to 7 Ghosts. ByuN just doesn't have the numbers, especially with the Vipers involved. If the Vipers are in comparable number, they can just kidnap them, bring them into the Lurkers, which will be more than happy to shred them. Lurkers burrow, interrupt all but one snipe. Nidus Network. That's a changeling. Alright, I saw something on the minimap. More snipes. So, we've reached that supreme late game. The problem is, ByuN has not... He's maxed out several times, but he's never been able to hold on to it. It is very simply Serral who has maintained... He's had the economy from the very start. Remember, this started with Roach and double Nidus. He knows what he needs. While Serral might be pragmatic, some might confuse Serral for a passive player. But when he's decisive, well, when he needs to be, he is very decisive. 2 Lurker dens, 2 Nidus networks. 1 is not going to cut it. He needs it now, and he has the money. There's so many medevacs. 9 medevacs, no liberators. A significant absence here. Single Widow Mine on the left flank. A Lurker taken out. ByuN maxing out again. But the double Nidus in the main! ByuN is not maxed out, which means he's still producing units. If it was just 1 Nidus, it wouldn't make the difference. 1 Nidus dies to a Marauder, but 2 Nidus may kill all the Marauders. Does he have enough just in time? Popping out 2-3 Lurkers. He needs a scan. He gets it immediately. Alright, so. Maybe 3 Niduses next time, Serral. He tries one, just throwing him out there. Remember, he has the Scream. The Scream of Terror. Let's go to the ByuN action cam. And, of course, in 3, 2. Nidus one detected, but where? Impossible to know if it's out of vision. Parasitic Bomb. Micros back the medevacs, but the Lurkers press forward. ByuN knows most of the Lurkers are not in the Nidus if they're pressing at the front, but just having these options. Nidus, one of those ridiculously high APM things that is still, I think, to this day, somewhat unexplored. It's not easy. It's not easy to mix in the Nidus to the rest of your play. There's just so much going on across the map in even just the single fight at the front that also using a Nidus network effectively without taking anything significant away from your main army is difficult. God, ByuN on the high ground. The firing squad. He notices there's no detection, tries to get out, but Serral drags him right back in. But an EMP! The fade away. Oh, how many times in their death rattles will these units find a way to kill each other? I guess it's appropriate that ghosts get a parting shot from the grave. Liberators over the top. The minerals exposed at this front base. Needs an abduct. Consuming from the hatchery nearby. The ghost count is getting pretty damn high. Bailing's trying to close the distance. The Venn diagram of freedom from the Liberators drives back the Hydralisks. More snipes. Up forward. Gets the detection here, but Infestors on the field can potentially interrupt all these snipes. He's looking for more. Another sieged up Overseer giving extra vision from the back, but an EMP lands! An EMP lands! And now the Infestors with no more energy. The Ghosts are running out of energy themselves, but ByuN presses forward! Once again! Serral doesn't have the army together. He might have the money, but he needs the larva, and he needs the production time. ByuN knows that. If he can break the critical mass of the army composition, he may be able to get on top of the tech. And without the tech tree, you can't grow any units. Lurker's on the left side. ByuN doesn't really have the economy here. Do we have... Ooh. Ow. Oof. Ah. Well, that's not good. Hey, close that. All right. Yeah, that's... Serral has had the money. It looked like ByuN might press through here, but actually, now that we've seen the economy of the situation, building ghosts in this economy? ByuN, drop some mules. Buy Orbital Command today. This message brought to you by Big Orbital. A few Widow Mines. Annoying, but not enough to undercut. Wow. This has been a fight for his life for ByuN. He's been up against the wall the whole time. Even when he was standing atop it. Meanwhile, Serral, he's essentially been lopping off extraneous, I don't know, like pinky toes or whatever else for his expansions in order to buy time to build an army to just crush ByuN. And right now, look at the army supplies. 91 to 93, but Serral is maxed. His drone count is still so high. 93 drones and army. And while ByuN still has a comparable army supply, he can certainly win the fight. He can certainly win a battle. But can he win the war? Looking for more. Great Widowmine hits. Liberator delays the Hydralisk. The choke point again. What a series of ups and downs that ByuN is exploiting. A Nidus network is blocking the orbital. I don't know. ByuN is... He still has a great... Oh, he neuroparasites the ghost! The EMP other ghosts! And he misses the EMP mostly, but the idea was there and it was so cool! Oh my god! Wow. Well, that's demoralizing, and at this point the fungals are deadly. Serral takes it home. Wow. If only that ghost EMP had made the difference. It didn't. After 670 Zerglings, 7 ultralisks attempted, 24 lurkers, all of that, Serral loses 10,000 more minerals. He loses 6,000 more gas. And he wins the game somewhat convincingly. Thank you, Team AlphaX. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed that match. I know I did. Check out more. Check out the recommended and also these, but mostly the recommended. That's what YouTube says to recommend. Not that one. The one that says Winter Star. Anyways, thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, ring the bell. And I hope you've had a good year. I look forward to more in the next one. Good luck. Have fun. I'll see you next time. Stay chill.